Hi, I'm Scott.
And I'm Esther, and we have three kids, Isaiah, Brantley, and Noelle. So, our daughter Noelle was born in 2017, and when she was about 18 months old, we noticed some things were a little off with her health. So, we took her to the pediatrician. They changed her diet a little bit, but it didn't really seem to help her. So, we took her back, they did some blood work and realized that some of her numbers were really high, like liver numbers and other inflammation markers. We took her to Cardinal Glennon in January of 2020, and they started running a bunch of tests on her to figure out why these labs were super high. And I would say it took about a year and a half for them to actually diagnose her with ulcerative colitis and autoimmune hepatitis. So both of those are kind of like GI issues.
And autoimmune
Yeah.
disorders. And her combination of the autoimmune hepatitis and ulcerative colitis and her early onset at, say, 1.5, 2 years old was very unusual for the hospital. We actually got sent to Texas Children's Hospital in Houston for a second opinion because it was so unusual. And they've also mentioned possibly sending us to Philadelphia or Boston just because they don't have a lot of case studies or anything on someone that young with this condition.
So after all the testing and after her diagnosis, they started doing what they call IV treatment or infusion medication. So Noelle goes to the hospital. First starting out was every 8 weeks, and she would get an IV, and they would give her medication that would take about 2 hours to go through her system. All in all, it was about a 6-hour day for us. We found after a year that this medication wasn't really working that well, so they bumped her up to every 6 weeks and then eventually every 4. And then still realizing the medication wasn't working, they decided to switch her to a different IV medication called Remicade. So this one she actually gets every 2 weeks now, and with that being so frequently, they decided it would be best to put a port in because just giving her IV treatments in her arm every 2 weeks would just not be good for her veins. So one of the things that has come about with this journey is just how our faith has been challenged. There are definitely days where it's hard on us, it's hard financially, it's very time consuming to have a child with an illness. She's on daily medicine, so that you have to constantly be on top of, and health and diet and all of that comes with it. And slowly after a while, sometimes you do start to question God, or you may start to doubt, or you may have self-pity. Sometimes we do have those conversations where we wonder, why is this happening to us? Why did this happen to her? Even me as a mom, after my 2 boys were healthy, something I always thought about was how thankful I was to have healthy children. And when my daughter came along, for the first year and a half, I had thought everything was fine and healthy until we found out she wasn't. And then in the back of my mind, I start to wonder, what did I do wrong during my pregnancy? What did I do wrong after she was born? I start to blame myself for maybe something going wrong with her health. So that can wear on you. And then just the daily challenges that come with it.
And with this, when you have a child that's got an illness like this, I know anyone in our shoes would pray for the big miracle, just a cure. Just hopefully you can just pray to God that if He's willing, He'll cure her and she'll just all of a sudden just get better one day. And I continue to pray that every night, mostly, but I also appreciate when I can see that there are smaller miracles happening. One, like we mentioned earlier, my job situation where I work from home and my schedules were flexible, it's really perfect for me to be able to take her to the hospital every 2 weeks. Just meeting people along the way. We've met people at church with similar conditions. We've met other people that have children that have similar conditions and are going through some of the same stuff right now, trying to figure out what the issue is with them. And that's really just strengthened that even though we're maybe not getting a direct answer, but things are in motion that are helping us along our path until we can reach, hopefully, where we can find a cure, or someone comes into our life that has those answers for us.
Yeah, and just knowing that someone else out there is going through the same thing as you. Sometimes we feel like we're in this box where we're the only ones going through it, but then I really have to tell myself, like, I know there's other children going through the same thing Noelle is going through, and I know the challenges their parents are facing, and I'm facing them, so it's always nice to be able to connect with those people so you're not feeling alone. And I think that God can strategically place those people in your life to help you along the way and just make you feel like you're not alone and you're in this together. And definitely I feel like just having to rely on God and trust Him that everything will be okay